Village of Peoria Heights Board of Trustee meeting. The meeting is now called to order. Would you please rise and join us in the pledge of the flag?
That makes sense, yeah.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Madam Clerk, would you please call roll?
Trustee Harn. Trustee Carter.
Present.
Trustee Fuller.
Present.
Trustee Reichert.
Present.
Trustee Gett. Trustee Cumming.
Okay, thank you. We are missing half of our trustees tonight, but we do have a quorum. But the mayor gets to vote on every item to
And
create
you're
the
excited.
quorum. So, yes, I've been waiting a long time for this opportunity. Thank you all for not showing up. First order of business tonight is the approval of the Board of Trustees minutes for November 5th, 2013. Are there any changes that need to be made to the minutes as submitted?
I make a motion to.
Have a motion for approval from Trustee Carter,
Second.
second from Trustee Fuller. All those in favor of approving the Board of Trustees minutes for the November 5th, 2013 meeting as submitted, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, please say no. Thank you. The ayes have it. Board has approved the minutes for the November 5th meeting as submitted. Next order of business tonight will be correspondence, and that will be presented by our village clerk, Shauna Musselman.
I have no correspondence.
Okay, thank you. Announcements, our thoughts and prayers are going to our neighbors on the other side of the river in East Peoria and Pekin and Washington for what they're going through with obviously the tornado activity on Sunday. So I know the police department and the fire department have already spent time over there, and I believe the fire department's been over there helping 24 hours, and Chief, I know the police have helped in instances too. So, and Administrator Fick has already contacted the administrator over in Washington to offer our services whenever they feel it's necessary. I know FEMA's involved, and I was over there today handling a claim for a lady who pretty much lost everything in her duplex. So it's really a sad situation, but hopefully things will right itself quickly. And again, our thoughts and prayers go with everyone involved. And we do have a pamphlet, which I believe was dropped off for a reason. Peoria County Veterans Memorial has some foundation bricks that are available. Have your name or have a memory of someone in the service you want to put in. A 4x8 brick goes for $150. 12x12 brick goes for $500. For more information, call 672-6006. Have to get a brick for Mike Casey and say, I'm wondering where Mike Casey is.
After you get mine.
There you go. All right, we'll now move to trustee reports, and we'll open with the ambulance service with Trustee Fuller.
Thank you, Mayor Allen. I have nothing to report this evening.
Okay, thank you. Public Works, Mr. Administrator, have you heard anything through the grapevine?
I have not, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thank you. Move to Administration Personnel with Trustee Reichert.
Thank you, Mayor. I don't have anything either.
Right, thank you very much. We'll go to Economic Development, Village Improvements with Trustee Carter.
I don't have anything at this time, thanks.
Okay, thank you. Trustee Cumming is not here tonight, obviously, so we'll ask Chief Sutton if he has anything police department-wise.
The only thing we have is our next neighborhood watch meeting will be November 25th here at Village Hall at 6:30, and it will be the last meeting of the year. We will skip December, and we'll pick it back up in January.
Okay. Thank you, Chief. Any questions at all for Chief Sutton? All right, thank you again. Trustee Gett is not here, obviously, and any word about building maintenance or the fire department, Mr. Administrator, that could be passed on?
Nothing on building maintenance or the fire department, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, well, we thank all for attending and giving us the information. Comments from the audience? Roberta, we've been waiting all year for this. I can tell by looking at Frank, he's got a lot on his mind, but he's just trying to hold it in. Michael? Nothing? Okay. Merry Christmas. It's not even Thanksgiving yet.
Yeah, don't bring back memories.
Okay, well, we thank everyone for attending. No old business, so we'll go right to new business, and first up is an authorization to pay G&O Disposal for 1 extra week of landscape removal. Trustee Harn's not here tonight. Mr. Administrator, can you give us the quick background on this, please?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, every year the village pays for and adds 1 additional week of the landscape waste pickup for the first week of December, which we're doing again this year for $2,591.23. And the new contract that was signed, which goes into effect at the beginning of the year, includes this. So moving forward, we won't have to do this annually. It will just be part of the contract.
Okay. Any questions at all for Administrator Fick? Okay, once again, this is for authorization, board authorization to pay G&O Disposal $2,591.23 for 1 additional week of landscape removal on December 6th and December 7th, which thankfully, hopefully the board will approve because the leaves have been late this year.
And Mr. Mayor, can I say one thing?
Certainly.
Peoria Christian just raked up a bunch of leaves too, so it helped out great. I called Jamie today, and then she said that was on there, so.
Oh, great.
They put bags all over, like down by their school, they do neighbors with
Yeah.
service, so.
Oh, good, good.
We all come out one year,
Absolutely.
but that's good.
Okay, Madam Clerk, would you please call roll?
Trustee Carter?
Aye.
Wait, did we have a motion and a second? I didn't write anything down.
I don't think we did. You need a motion for approval.
I'll make a motion for approval.
Motion from Trustee Fuller,
Second.
second from Trustee Carter. Any questions or comments from the board before the board votes? Okay, now,
Sorry.
Madam Clerk, please call roll.
I thought,
Sorry
wow,
about
if we
that.
did, I missed it. Trustee Carter?
Aye.
Trustee Fuller?
Aye.
Mayor Allen?
Aye.
Trustee Reichert?
Okay, thank you. By a vote of 4-0, the board has approved the payment to G&O Disposal for 1 additional week of landscape removal for the weekend of December 6th and 7th. Next order of new business tonight is ordinance 2013-1394. Mr. Administrator, could you explain that to us, please?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, this is an ordinance to provide for and creating the Office of Village Assistant Superintendent of Public Works. As everyone knows, Superintendent Roth is retiring. His last day effectively will be at the end of this month. He had some back surgery, so he's actually not able to perform the duties. So in the interim, we would like to have someone fill in his position. And at the urging or the recommendation of the attorneys, they suggested that we can't have 2 active superintendents at one time, so we actually have to create a temporary assistant superintendent position from the time frame of November 19th to December 2nd, so that Steve can work and effectively assume the roles of the superintendent in Bob's absence. So this is an ordinance that actually temporarily creates the assistant superintendent position.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Administrator. And we do have a history of this regarding when Administrator
When
Fick
I
was hired.
right.
And at that time, Village Administrator Tom Horstman was here for at least a couple weeks. I can't remember how long it was, to kind of help guide Administrator Fick through the jungles of the village of Peoria Heights. So we do have a history of that. Are there any questions or comments from the board?
Yeah, I do have a question. So we don't have one in place now, right? Is that why we did this?
Correct.
For the assistant?
Correct.
Okay, so we don't have to put a date in here or anything because we want to make this for future uses also?
A date of termination for that position, or?
This ordinance?
I think she's saying, is it a permanent?
Is it a permanent
position?
ordinance that we don't have to do this again if something else happens in the future? Or does this have to be redone every time something would happen?
I think it's set up that this will be a permanent position that we can fill if this happens again.
That's all I have.
Okay. Do we need a motion for approval?
I move to approve the ordinance 2013-1394 to create the Office of Assistant Superintendent of Public Works.
I have a motion from trustee Reichert. Need a second, please?
Second.
Okay, thank you. I have a second from trustee Fuller. Are there any further questions or comments from the board regarding the ordinance? Okay, once again, this is for approval, board approval of ordinance 2013-1394, an ordinance providing for and creating the Office of Village Assistant Superintendent of Public Works as outlined by Administrator Fick. Madam Clerk, would you please call roll?
Trustee Carter?
Aye.
Trustee Fuller?
Aye.
Mayor Allen?
Aye.
Trustee Reichert?
Aye.
Okay, thank you. By a vote of 4-0, the board has approved the ordinance 2013-1394. Next up is a motion to approve an employment agreement with Steve Reddick. Mr. Administrator, it falls to you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The employment agreement with Steve Reddick actually is connected to the previous ordinance that was just passed. As we talked about, Mr. Roth is retired. Effectively, December 2nd will be his. He will no longer be employed by the Village of Peoria Heights. We have posted the job application, or posted the job of Superintendent of Public Works, and we've received quite a few resumes. The closing date for that is December 6th. I anticipate with the holidays it could take, into the first part of next year to get that position filled. And we'd like, as you described earlier, some sort of a transition period. Maybe the new person is trained by someone who's been here. Mr. Reddick had worked for the village previously in the same capacity, and he has a lot of knowledge of the infrastructure and the systems and everything. So it was thought that he would be a good fit to come in and fill the assistant superintendent role until such time as Bob had officially retired, and then appoint him to the superintendent role. He is limited in terms of his ability to work to not more than 600 hours because he already is a IMRF participant. Although the contract does not exactly have, it has terms of the start date. The termination date is open-ended. If we get someone in here earlier and we feel comfortable, Mr. Reddick would step down prior to that, but he's limited to the 600 hours that he can work. And he would be appointed to the position of assistant superintendent from November 19th to December 2nd. And then that same day, December 2nd, he would roll over into the full-time superintendent position. So this is a contract that spells out the terms and conditions of his employment and allows for that transition to take place.
Okay,
So
thank you.
if we hired somebody to replace Bob after Mr. Reddick is in place, would they be in this position here that we passed the ordinance?
Correct.
They
Yes,
would
we
be
could
the
hire them as the
assistant
assistant. Yes,
for a period of time while they trained? Okay.
correct.
Need a motion for approval, please?
Okay, I'm sorry, I have a question.
Okay.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah, we usually do it after the
Okay,
motion,
go
but need a motion for approval, please?
I move to approve Steve Reddick in the position of Assistant Superintendent of Public Works.
You have a motion from trustee Reichert. Need a second, please?
Second.
Thank you. Second from trustee Fuller. Now, are there any questions or comments from the board?
Yeah, I do have a question. So this position is one temporary, right? It's not a full-time position because he can only work 600 hours, which we should probably get that quickly. What happens if he reaches that and we don't have somebody in his place? What are we going to do then?
Yeah, at that time, we'd have to find someone else to come in and fill the superintendent role, but I don't anticipate that
I mean, that's 15
happening.
weeks.
I'm sorry?
That's 15 weeks.
It's 15
That's
weeks, yeah.
4 months.
Yeah.
We've been operating without a superintendent, well, Bob's been on the books, but he hasn't been here, and we've looked at different situations, but I can't anticipate that we wouldn't have someone hired within that time frame.
Okay.
Any other questions or comments from the board? Okay, once again, this is for board approval of the employment agreement with Mr. Steve Reddick. Madam Clerk, would you please call roll?
Trustee Carter?
For the temporary position, aye.
Trustee Fuller?
Aye.
Mayor Allen?
Aye.
Trustee Reichert?
Aye.
Okay, thank you. By a vote of 4-0, the board has approved the employment agreement with Steve Reddick for first going to be the assistant superintendent and then the interim superintendent of public works for the village of Peoria Heights. So congratulations, Steve. Now, we have a Giving Tuesday proclamation. Nobody's, well, maybe Mike would accept it, I don't know. But I'm going to go ahead and read this, if you don't mind, and then we'll have Village Clerk Musselman sign off on it and stamp it, and I'll do the same, sign off. Whereas Giving Tuesday was established as the National Day of Giving on the Tuesday following Thanksgiving, and whereas Children's Home Association of Illinois, a local nonprofit organization established in 1866 in serving Central Illinois, wishes to encourage community-wide participation in Giving Tuesday as a celebration of philanthropy and volunteerism where people give whatever they are able to give. And whereas Giving Tuesday is a day of giving where Peoria Heights citizens work together to share commitments, rally for favorite causes, build a stronger community, and think about other people. And whereas it is fitting and proper on Giving Tuesday and on every day to recognize the tremendous impact of philanthropy, volunteerism, and community service in the village of Peoria Heights. And whereas Giving Tuesday is an opportunity to encourage citizens to serve others throughout this holiday season and during other times of the year. Now therefore, I, Mark B. Allen, Mayor of the Village of Peoria Heights, do hereby proclaim December 3rd, 2013 as Giving Tuesday in the Village of Peoria Heights, and encourage all citizens to join together to give back to the community in any way that is personally meaningful. So we will sign off and stamp that, and we'll forward that to the Children's Home Association of Illinois. Next up, we will have the treasurer's report, which will be read by our village clerk, Shauna Musselman.
All right, this represents the bank balances for the month of October 2013 as submitted by our village treasurer, Cliff Brumbaugh. The general fund account is $709,132.24. Motor fuel account is $99,436.07. The police drug savings account is $553.19. The tax increment finance account is $20,562.09, and the healthcare flex account is $5,612.81, for a grand total in the village accounts of $835,296.40. The waterworks account is $678,742.99. The service deposit account is $84,754.25, for a grand total in the waterworks accounts of $763,497.24.
Okay. Thank you. Are there any questions or comments from the board regarding the treasurer's report? Okay, then we will accept it as submitted by our treasurer. The next departmental committee meeting will be held Tuesday, November 26th at 6:30 p.m. And the next Board of Trustees meeting will be held Tuesday, December 3rd at 6 o'clock p.m. We want to wish everybody a very happy and wonderful Thanksgiving holiday coming up. Is there any other business to come before the board this evening? Need a motion to adjourn?
I move to adjourn the meeting.
Have a motion from trustee Reichert,
Second.
second from trustee Carter. All those in favor of adjourning the meeting at this time, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, please say no. Okay, thank you. The ayes have it. Meeting is now adjourned, and we thank everyone for attending.
That's how that's done.
Did you already stamp that one?